want to talk
All
about
right.
that, but also can we talk? Brian had mentioned it in the messages earlier about some kind of fly or something that people were having an
Oh
issue
yeah.
with. And Cal,
The black.
I don't know anything about. I don't know anything about this, so I want to hear from the
Me
horse's
neither.
mouth over there.
So it's called. So basically, it's called the black fig fly. So the black fig
Oh,
fly came from an imported shipment of figs from Mexico, and it came across the border and kind of planted itself in Southern California. So the
goodness.
black fly is already in the Mediterranean. Other like Turkey, they have it, and it's really this is pretty bad right now. Southern California is infested all the way from Los Angeles to almost to Mexico. I was working with the Department of Agriculture down there in San Bernardino. It's to the point where it's categorized as an ant, so they can't spray anything, they can't do anything because it's completely infested. So I'm going to tell you how it works. There's the fly leaves deposits its eggs under the little flaps of the osteo, the eye of the fig. Okay, so it gets the eggs in there. The eggs hatch. The larva goes through the eye into the fig, grows. It feeds off the fig. It grows, and then the fig falls to the ground, and then that larva drills a hole out the side of the fig, turns into a fly, and flies away. So that's kind of the process. So your fig drops before it ripes. It drops prematurely.
Mm.
Right now, it's about 70 to 80% total crop failure. So it's nasty. Okay, so and what's hard for me is all my friends that are in Southern California are all depressed and sad right now because they're going in year 2, year 3, and all their crops are getting wiped out. And it's a big mess. And it's like they're seeing all this money they put into to their to this new hobby, and a lot of them are getting out of it now. Like they're selling their trees. The very same trees I sold them or somebody else sold them, they're now selling and moving on to another fruit. So right now, Sacramento sent out a bulletin. There's 10 counties affected in California. Luckily, Fresno to Merced has not had one case yet, according to the USDA. So it goes from LA all the way to the Grapevine, and then from San Jose into the Bay Area, and around that area is the other pocket. So we're in the middle, and we're the fig capital, right? For the United States is Fresno, Madera, Merced. This little area produces most of the figs for Trader Joe's and all those places. But right now, there's the only thing you could do is really use organza bags. I'm sure you guys are familiar with them, and just bag every fig. But the problem is this fly is getting in there when they're really small too. So people talked about putting tape with the eye over the eye, but the fig's gonna grow. It's like right now they got UC Riverside working on it. Their department there is working on something because
You couldn't use like kaolin clay or something to like try to just coat the thing to keep it off, or is it just like it is small. It sounds like it's really small, and it sounds like it spreads crazy fast. And
really
do they?
fast through
Yeah.
four. They have 4 cycles, four generations. I think that's what it is. Each fly. So people I'm getting pictures every few days, private messages of people's figs infected. They cut them open, and then there's the larva. There's the famous Instagrammer that I called out. That she's the bug lady. She's got 500,000 followers, and here she is saying it's fig wasps. She cuts her figs open. Look at all the fig wasps, inside. Those are larvae. They're black fig fly larvae. And claiming they're fig wasps and spreading all this misinformation, and it's just driving me nuts. So there shouldn't be any figs. I just read the bulletin. There's no movement of any figs from California, period, because nobody knows where this fly is going to pop up. Say if it's like I'm not shipping any fresh figs. I already told everybody. I've made my stance. If you get a box of figs and you open it up, everything looks great. A few days later, a hole might form, and then here comes a larva and turn into a fly, and that's how it spreads. You don't see it until it drops and hits the ground. You have
Yeah.
to see evidence. There's nothing you could tell ahead of time. So once it hits the ground, you'll see the hole. They all have them, and that's when the cycle starts. So the goal is to keep it where it is until they find a solution. That's the goal.
To quarantine.
Quarantine, but there is
Yeah.
no mandatory quarantine. So right now,
There needs to be. That
it's
sounds
just
terrible.
squirrels, right? So yeah, there's even like live plants. They honestly should be bare rooted. Like if they're coming out of California, you should probably be bare rooting them, or make sure it's a sterile medium that's not grown outside. Because the larva will be it gets in the soil.
Okay, I was going to ask, like, yeah.
Yeah, and that's where it turns into a fly. I don't know I don't know all the names and everything, but that's the basics of it. And spreading very fast. And
So
we're at stage 3. I just read the USDA report, which means basically it's inevitable that it's going to hit the Central Valley. Like everything is lined up for it to hit here. So we're kind of on standby, and we're just praying that it doesn't hit. And there's been sightings of it at different Home Depots. It's coming from some of the big nurseries are transferring it. They grow out these trees that have figs on them. You'll see them sometimes. They're 5 gallons, and they'll be 4 foot tall, and they'll have a few figs. And BF black fig fly has been found in some of them, so they're being transported that way too, through the trade.
So is this the pest? Is this the one? I'm gonna share my screen real quick. I can show you the actual. I think I can do this.
And it has a very specific pattern that it flies, and it has the wings lay over on its back, and it's pretty easy to identify.
So, Brian, you can't spray anything on the figs when they're forming on the tree?
I mean, it may come down to it. Yeah, there it is, right there.
Look at that.
So, black fig fly, Diptera long Silba adipata, invasive fig pest recently discovered in Southern California. Fig growers need to be aware of the black fly BFF, an invasive insect that was recently discovered infesting figs in multiple counties in Southern California. The BFF has been reported in the following counties. I won't name all of those. Movement of figs from these counties is not recommended, as it may lead to additional artificial spread of BFF to other areas of the state. So, are they concerned that it's going to cross state lines, or have they had any sightings like cross state lines, or has it just been in California so far?
It's just been in California, and I feel like from the last bulletin I read, they're trying to protect the little area of figs that's left, because
And
once
that's the internal damage. That's so weird.
Yeah, and they were saying that the what would happen if it did hit these orchards is they would have the organza bag each fig, and that would
Oh my gosh, that's not possible.
No way.
that would raise labor, that would raise the overall price. So that would be as of right now. That's the step that they would have to take.
So, at figure 5, this McPhail trap. I wonder if that is that some kind of. So let's see. Biological
different trap.
This is an example of one. So biological control appears to be limited, and there are currently no chemical controls registered specifically for the pest on this California figs. As such, orchard sanitation is critical, and growers should make sure to remove and destroy any BFF infested fruits. That is so crazy.
It's wild, man.
Can they handle freezes?
Fig fruits can be inspected for signs of BFF activity, such as larval feeding or exit holes. Focus on unripe fruits that have recently fallen from the tree. Populations of BFF adults can also be monitored using McPhail-type traps baited with torula yeast lures, although efficiency of this trap lure combination is still under evaluation. Wow. Well, I'm going to be on the lookout. I don't have a lot of figs dropping, honestly. Ever. But I will keep an eye on, look out. So as long as you're getting bare root, like cuttings, you're okay, right? Cuttings with no soil, you should be fine. Is there anything I wonder if there's any way to like a good way to maybe sanitize your cuttings just to be safe. Like if you get them in the mail, like with like a spray or like a something just to be safe. I wonder.
Diluted hydrogen peroxide solution or something.
Yeah, I always recommend like I use Clorox wipes on all my cuttings. I've never had an issue, but it kills everything. So
Mhm.
I know the USDA has so I have an agent, USDA agent in the California Figs group. A lot of people don't know this. So I've talked to him many times, and he's in charge of the BFF up north. He's not Southern California, he's northern. So he's monitoring everything and keeping an eye on all these cases. But yeah, it's he's really scared that it's going to take over up there too. So that's
Wow.
what's going on with the black fig fly. We just pray it doesn't hit here. That's all we can do, and I feel very sad for those collectors and homeowners that are having big messes in their yards and having to spend hours using organza bags on each individual fig, and and then so we're looking at alternatives. I was thinking pot culture should be bigger and down south. You could use mosquito netting and wrap the whole pot. Put some big stakes up and wrap the whole thing tight because it does get through. I've heard people trying it, but it does get through. So maybe that would be an effective method. I mean, you'd have to prune your trees a certain way, but I think we're going to have. There's a lot of people involved in thinking and brainstorming this,
Yeah.
besides the researchers who are looking for some type of treatment. But in the meantime, it's a serious deal, and it's hitting pretty much a majority of fig growers down south. They're all getting hit. They're all over the freeway. We were just in Legoland, and they're all over. The trees are a mess. There's fig flies everywhere over there. In San Diego, it's real bad.